Good morning, everybody. Michael the Maven, thank you for coming. If this is your first time to my channel, today we're going to take a look and overview at the Nikon Z50, and we have to give a shout out to Lens Pro to Go. They provided the Z50 body and lens that I'm using for this ergonomics and usability review. Maven 10 will save you 10% at checkout anytime you use that coupon. Thank you again, Lens Pro to Go. I have a confession. When the Z50 came out, I wasn't super impressed with it. I just looked at it and I said, I don't think I'm going to invest a lot of time in that. And I got many emails from viewers like yourself who wanted my thoughts and opinion. You guys wanted a tutorial, and people just wanted to know if it was a camera that they should get or not. So I'm going to say some things that are going to offend a lot of people, but because I have no affiliation with the camera company, I can say whatever I want. Nikon has an identity problem, and this is part of the reason, in my opinion, that their sales have been suffering, that they've been on the decline, is because in the past they have used something that I refer to as the Goldilocks strategy of cameras. It has been very successful for them in the Nikon D850, the D750. When we look at the D500, it has worked every time in the past. And the Goldilocks strategy is it does everything just right. It tries to do everything well. In my opinion, as a camera reviewer, the cameras that succeed are the ones that have competitive advantages. And when I say that, there's 2.5 questions I always ask myself. Number one, what can this camera do that no other camera can do? And in parentheses, I put for me. And then at what cost? When we're talking about the cost of the camera, three different options really have at the time of this recording. You can get the body by itself. It's about $850. There are two lenses made specifically for the APS-C sized sensor in the Z mount. The 16-50 lens, the one I have here, buy it in a kit, it's $1,000. And you can also buy both lenses in the camera body for about $1,200. There are a number of problems with that price range in that it directly competes with, for example, the Sony a6400, the Fuji X-T30, the Fuji X-T3, the Canon M6 Mark II are all in these price ranges of APS-C mirrorless cameras. It would be fine if the Z50 does something spectacular, and this is when the problems start to come, is I'm not seeing something that is a home run feature. It's a good camera that does a lot of things very well, and this is why other camera companies are beating Nikon, is because the Goldilocks strategy doesn't always work. If bang for my buck, I can buy another camera that does something, for example, 11 frames per second mechanical. This is 7, or up to 30 frames per second electronic if we're looking at the X-T30 or the X-T3. When we look at some of the video features that we see on the M6 Mark II. And another problem with this is at that price range, we are in striking distance of getting a used Z6. When we look at the Nikon Z6, a full frame mirrorless camera from Nikon, it can do a lot of things that no other cameras can do in that price range. Talking about full frame, 32mm sensor, video. We're talking about ProRes RAW to an Atomos Ninja 5. Those two things alone, for a video shooter, that is a very compelling reason to get a Nikon Z6. So if you were to come over to my house and say, hey, Michael, I'm thinking about getting a Z50, what do you think? I would say, spend a couple extra $100 and get a Z6, because you're getting a full frame sensor, you're getting more video features, and I like the images coming out of it. When we look at the Z7, I have friends who are landscape photographers. They want that resolution. There's a compelling reason for them to save that camera weight in their camera bag when they're out hiking for miles. That is a good reason to get a Z7. I'm not feeling that about the Z50. Now, it does some interesting things that are pretty cool. For example, we have this monitor that flips around and faces forward. Pretty cool, right? The problem is it does it right in front of the tripod mount. This isn't something that you would put on a tripod and flip the monitor around and face forward. It's really shooting selfies or maybe vlogging handheld. I don't understand why they just can't make a side flipping monitor like Canon or Panasonic. Now, I know I'm being kind of hard on it. Truth is, in terms of ergonomics and usability that I'm about to show you right now, it does a lot of things very well. Nikon is clearly aware of ergonomics and usability. I almost feel like they're watching my videos and getting feedback, and they're doing things that I haven't seen before. I'm like, wow, that's a really great idea, and I'm going to point some of these things out. Many of you do not know I write books about efficiency. I don't know why, just been wired for it. I love talking and thinking about efficiency. The Nikon Z mount was designed for a full frame lens. And so when we look in here and we see all this extra real estate unused, that bothers me. So we've got an APS-C sensor inside a full frame Z mount flange. When we look at the back of the lens itself, look at all the unused real estate around here. That bothers me quite a bit. Not a big deal, something to think about. But when you look at the ergonomics and usability of the Z50, it actually scores very high. And there's some interesting things that have been done that I haven't seen before. The first of which are these permanent touchscreen buttons. So Nikon has eliminated the need for the magnifying glass, the question mark in the display button, by putting it into the touch monitor. I thought that was pretty interesting. That's a nice, easy way to change things up without dedicating space to buttons. I would like to see if they can do this, why not put more in there? You know, make them customizable. Awesome. Mirrorless cameras on other systems, they run into a problem where the relief, which is the distance between the eyepiece to the monitor, is too short. Sony has this problem, Fuji has this problem, and by increasing the distance, this helps prevent nose touching to the back monitor. Another thing that's good about this is they have this universally turned off, so when you're looking through the viewfinder, touching with your nose isn't going to create any problems, and the idea is that you could change the position of the focusing square using the directional pad. We have our back button focus that can be customized. In the menu, we have the ability to change the display. We have a flash option, built-in flash, pretty cool. When we take a look at the grip, look at the grip on this thing. Look how beefy and meaty it is. We don't see this on a lot of other APS-C cameras. It is a super comfortable grip. Look at the tension control here with the thumb grip. And the interesting thing about this is that the CF card slot was behind this on the Z6 and Z7, and I thought that was a mistake. Nikon's fixed that. The memory card and the battery go in the bottom over just underneath the grip. The touchscreen is fantastic. I think Nikon has done a great job of making this easy to interface with. If you want to change your shutter speed, your aperture, your ISO, they're all right here. I wish there was an easier way. If I come in here and I just hit autofocus single and I tap my shutter button, it doesn't take. That stuff drives me nuts. Like if I come into a menu and I change something, I would expect for it to change. They want you to double tap it or hit OK to confirm it. That creates an extra step in the process of workflow. So I'm not a huge fan of that. The touchscreen's great when we're talking about focusing. It's very fast, very responsive. Awesome. We can customize the menus in terms of the eye menu, both for stills and video. We have 2 custom users on the mode dial. Something that's fascinating about this camera is that most of the buttons and controls are on the right side of the camera as you hold it. They're all accessible to the thumb, index finger. Pretty easy to reach. Those would be a bit of a stretch. What I believe Nikon is trying to do here is make the Z50 operable from one hand. So you don't need to bring, like we see a power switch or a mode dial on other cameras over here. I'm not a huge fan of needing 2 hands to grab and turn the camera on. We have that rotating power switch right here. You can grab, turn the camera on, start and stop video recording, ISO, all your shutter speed, aperture, your mode. There is a dedicated switch here for video. Very fast and very easy. I love that. Turn that down. The ability to switch back and forth between stills and video mode is something that we saw on the EOS R. There was like 3 or 4 steps if you wanted to change one of the modes. Not a huge fan. So in regards to ergonomics, when we're talking about the grip, the usability, the shortest distance between 2 points, which is a single step, it actually gets very high scores. The navigation of the deep menu is fantastic. It's pretty much on par with Canon's, where we have the ability to touch through the menus. We can select an item. It's very quick, very easy to navigate. It's a great ease of use feature that Fuji and Sony should be watching carefully because Nikon and Canon are destroying those companies when it comes to navigation of the menu systems. This is why, in terms of ergonomics, how it feels, tension control here, power switch, eye relief, even the changes between the Z6 and Z7 to this camera, obviously I'd like to see a joystick. There's not a lot to complain about. I think it scores pretty high. I would put it at a a 4.2 or a 4.3 out of 5. It's one of the most ergonomic and easy to use mirrorless APS-C cameras that I've seen. If you're struggling to learn your Nikon Z50, if I haven't posted it already, we'll have a free tutorial. It's over 2 hours long right now. I'll show you how to use your camera inside and out. It's nothing personal against Nikon or Nikon Z50 owners. I just feel it's a little bit overpriced at this time. When the price comes down, you know, maybe 800, 700 for the kit lens with the camera body, it'll be an amazing deal. If you want another camera system that you're struggling to learn, I'll put my training course video link in the description. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.